Hey guys, Crystal here from Elite Hair Care USA. So this video is a video that I know you guys have been waiting a very long time for, that I promised I would never do. But in light of COVID and knowing that a lot of you are not able to get into the salon, we are going to tackle the do's and don'ts of relaxing your hair at home. Now, my client here came in. She decided that it was time for her to cut off all of that damaged hair. And we are going to be giving her a full transformation along with a shortcut. In the midst of that, I am going to talk with you guys today in regards to the relaxer process. And I am going to talk to you guys or teach you guys how to properly do a relaxer for yourself at home. Now, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to share my video with your friends and family. So let's start off. Once you have your relaxer, whichever relaxer you choose, I always recommend making sure that you are wearing gloves to protect your hands and also using a protective base around the hairline. It is very important that you do base the the scalp, the ears, the nape of your neck, where the skin is, and all around your hairline with a protective base. Most times the box relaxers don't really put base in them anymore. If they do, great. If not, you can use a Vaseline on your perimeter. Now, I'm using something called a spatula. I don't really like to use the brush because the brush sometimes can be very hard and it can aggravate the scalp. So let's talk about some do's when you are doing a relaxer. So the first do is, of course, make sure that you're wearing protective gloves and that you have a protective base, which we've already talked about in the beginning. Another do is ensure that you have all of the recommended manufacturer products that come along with that relaxer, such as your neutralizing shampoo and your conditioner. Neutralizing shampoo is very different from other shampoos. Neutralizing shampoo is made to restore the hair back to its normal pH after the relaxer process, okay? Do make sure that you have a clean towel to utilize when you are rinsing your hair. And here is a big do. If you are doing a retouch relaxer, please ensure that you are only applying the relaxer to the new growth. A lot of you who are doing relaxers at home don't understand how a relaxer typically works. If you relax hair that is already relaxed, you can easily put yourself in a place where you are over processing your hair. So do make sure that you are applying the relaxer to the new growth only. Do also do what we call a patch test or a strand test to confirm how your hair will react if you have never had a relaxer before. Do also ensure that you do the delicate areas last. The delicate areas include the hairline around the ear and sometimes the nape of the neck. So keep that in mind when you are doing your relaxer. If there is an area that you know is overly sensitive, I also definitely recommend that you save that area for last. Another do is to part your hair in at least 4 sections. Now, because my client here is a shortcut, I did not part her into 4 sections, and I wanted to make sure that I was using the proper speed to apply her relaxer. So if you guys notice, I am not stopping when I do my relaxer process. I'm not doing anything else in between. You want to typically make sure that your application is done in less than 3 to 4 minutes. You want to give that relaxer enough time based on the manufacturer specifications to process. And you want to ensure that you do not leave out any new growth when you are applying your relaxer. Make sure that you are applying it to all of the new growth. Another do is make sure that you are smoothing that relaxer in, which I will show you guys that part very shortly. But just make sure that you are not allowing your scalp to get aggravated by combs, brushes, no scratching, no rubbing. You want to just ensure that you are applying your relaxer nice and smooth and even. So let's talk about some don'ts. Don't go in the store and pick the strongest relaxer just because you think you need the strongest relaxer. The strength of a relaxer doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be better. The strength of a relaxer can sometimes be determined by the speed that that relaxer will begin to process or even straighten the hair. If you don't know anything about relaxers, start with a milder form of relaxer such as a Just For Me or even a PCJ. They are still fully relaxers, but they have a slower processing time. Another don't is do not shampoo your hair at least 5 to 7 days before your relaxer. I know a lot of you like to shampoo the product out of your hair, but to be quite honest, relaxer is so strong, it doesn't matter what is in your hair as long as it's not another relaxer. You can literally put your relaxer on over gel, you can put it on over oil. It will go straight through all of that. The relaxer is the rawest form of hair removal that you can ever get. So you leave it on too long and it can literally take your hair out. But keep in mind, it can also cut its way through any form of gel or oil. But if you know that you're getting a relaxer, then rinse that stuff out the week before. No padding, no scratching, none of that before your relaxer. That leads me into the next don't. Don't scratch, pat, or aggravate your scalp before your relaxer. That's something that is very important. Remember, relaxer can cause level 3 burns or 3rd-degree burns. It can cause all kinds of different levels of issues for the hair and the scalp. So you want to make sure that you are giving your hair the least amount of aggravation before the relaxer. Another don't is do not relax your hair too often. Shortcuts will typically relax a lot more often than people who have longer hair because shortcuts grow out very, very quickly and you see new growth very, very quickly. Longer hair, you typically are relaxing anywhere between week 6 and week 12. Another don't. Do not leave the relaxer on your hair too long. I know a lot of you want your hair to be bone straight, but bone straight is actually not the way a relaxer is supposed to go. The hair should have some form of an S pattern. Not saying that it's supposed to be nappy, but it is supposed to have a little bit or a slight amount of texture to it if done properly. Over time, the hair will go straighter and straighter and straighter, but we do not recommend leaving the relaxer on your hair past the manufacturer specifications. Another don't. Do not permanent or demi-permanent color your hair before a relaxer. Relaxer should not be applied over permanent color. Any color that requires oxidation, right? So oxidized color is any color that requires a developer, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 volume. Regardless if you have highlights or a full color, it is all the same. Once relaxer touches that hair that has now had a full-on permanent color or a oxidized color placed on it, the relaxer is going to create a chemical reaction, and that is how you get the hair to nicely melt in your hands, and the hair becomes like putty. Okay? So never color your hair before a relaxer. Or if you have hair color already, you are supposed to wait until your new growth has grown out. You apply the relaxer to only your new growth. And after your new growth has been relaxed, then you are able to go back and color your hair again. But I definitely recommend, if you have any form of color, to get this service done by a professional. Another don't is do not exercise before your relaxer. That is going to increase your inner core or your heat, your inner core heats, I guess I'm saying that right or wrong. But exercising before a relaxer is going to speed up the process because the body is in go mode. The metabolism is high and you are literally burning up on the inside. You are in fat burning mode, right? So guess what? It's going to make the scalp even more sensitive and it is going to speed up the processing time of the typical relaxer. Lastly, when you are processing your relaxer, meaning you are combing it through the new grow, or if you're doing a virgin relaxer, you're combing it all the way through. Be sure not to allow the teeth of the comb to aggravate the scalp. Be sure not to utilize a comb that is creating any form of aggression on the scalp, and no using your fingers to scrape the scalp either. This goes when the relaxer is in, and also if the hair is not neutralized, you want to make sure that you do not scratch or aggravate the scalp at that point because the hair is not normalized and put back to its regular pH. After the normalizing or neutralizing shampoo, then you are able, to go forward with that process of stimulating the scalp. Now, let's talk about when it's time for you to rinse out this relaxer. Now, I'm going to step back for just a second. I want you guys to take note as to what I'm doing. My comb is not actually touching the scalp. It is actually going through the hair and the hair only. And as I comb through the hair, I am smoothing the relaxer at the same time. Now, this is considered to be a virgin relaxer because she does not have a relaxer. If you are doing a retouch relaxer, you are only going to allow the relaxer to extend only through the new growth and not the hair that is previously relaxed. That is the easiest way to have overprocessed hair. So definitely make sure that you are not overextending your relaxer into previously processed hair. Now, when it's time for the shampoo process, you do want to make sure that you rinse your relaxer out really, really well. Thoroughly rinse out your relaxer. Do not assume that the relaxer is rinsed out until you physically feel your head and you no longer can smell the relaxer on your hair, right? Next, make sure that the first shampoo and even the second shampoo that you do after rinsing out your relaxer thoroughly with warm water is a neutralizing or normalizing shampoo. If you are using a box relaxer, which I'm more than certain most of you are, it comes with a neutralizing shampoo, and I highly recommend you always do a minimum of 2 shampoos with the neutralizing shampoo. Okay, 1 shampoo is not enough. 2 shampoos is somewhat okay. 3 shampoos is actually ideal. Lastly, make sure that you are also conditioning the hair. And conditioning the hair meaning you are using a conditioner that either came with the kit or some kits do not come with a conditioner, at which time you can purchase the manufacturer recommended conditioner to go with that relaxer. I'm a stickler on making sure that I stay within the same family whenever I'm doing any form of chemical service. So if I'm using an olive oil relaxer, which I don't, but just an example, if I'm using the olive oil relaxer, I'm also using the olive oil neutralizing shampoo and the olive oil conditioner. We at Elite Hair Care do not make any form of relaxers or color just yet. But if we ever do, we highly recommend making sure that you are utilizing all of the pieces to the puzzle and don't try to add pieces from another puzzle. Now, what I'm doing is just going through and helping to process her relaxer. I'm distributing the relaxer throughout the remainder of her hair. And I'm also being very, very careful not to make the teeth touch her scalp, because if they do, she's going to immediately start to burn, and that can cause a lot of scabbing and aggravation to the hair. Now that her relaxer is finished, it is time for her haircut. So we're just going to go straight in. You guys have seen me do haircuts over and over and over again. But I wanted you guys to see her haircut for us to start the pixie process. Now, if you notice and you're looking at the nape of her neck, she still has a little bit of texture. The relaxer processed just fine. I'm not worried about it not being super bone straight, but it is straight enough that we are able to lay her hair down nice and sleek. And she's going to walk out of here with an amazing style. Over time, as her hair gets relaxed more and more, it will go straighter and straighter and straighter. But because she has a short cut, she's always going to have that new hair sitting there for us to relax and cut again. So that kind of comes with the territory for short hair. Also, for her haircut, she did have some damaged areas going on in the front. I actually cut her hair before years ago, and she showed me the picture, and I'm like, that is you. But now we are just going through and getting her prepared for this pixie cut. It's going to come out extremely cute. Now, we did not color her hair. We didn't add anything else to her hair. We just did the relaxer and, of course, followed the manufacturer specifications in regards to the normalizing shampoo and the conditioner. At the end of the relaxer, you are able to go ahead and add your leave-in conditioner. That part, it doesn't matter which company the leave-in conditioner comes from, whether it be Elite Hair Care or some other brand, but you are able to move forward with your styling preference. So for her, after her haircut, she's going to get some Elite Silk Wrap Foam, and we are going on to the styling portion. When you are dealing with a relaxer, it's really the chemical services where you want to make sure that you're staying within that family of the recommended products from the manufacturer. Now, her front part of her hair was really sparse in some areas, especially on one side of her head. But we are going to make it work. You guys will get to see that in just a moment. Also, keep in mind, you guys, that even though she has a shortcut and she is a virgin relaxer, going forward, I would not recommend relaxing the crown again for about 6 to maybe 8 weeks. The sides and the back of her head, she will relax every 2 to 3 weeks. I know a lot of you are like, that is so often. It is often because shortcuts grow very quickly, and it's just like a man. Men get haircuts every week to 3 weeks. You know why? Because the hair grows out really, really quickly, and it grows out in those areas and is back looking nasty and shabby again. So it's the same thing with a shortcut. But for the crown, you can use heat, meaning a flat iron, to make the crown lay as flat or as silky as you want. But the sides and the back, if it needs a relaxer, there is nothing on this planet that is going to make that hair lay down. That is just the name of the game. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and mold her and put her under the dryer. Now, you guys know my go-to is always going to be our Elite Silk Wrap Foam. Nothing more, nothing less. I am using a little bit of gel to make her hair lay really, really flat and straight. That's just a technique that you can use when it comes onto the nape of the neck. That area likes to flip up a lot. But with me putting the gel on, right after putting the gel, I put the Elite Silk Wrap Foam. That is going to keep that area nice and soft. It's not going to make it hard as though I was using the gel for it to stay there or lay there for forever. No, but once I put that wrap foam over the gel, it is literally going to still allow that area to be nice and soft and pliable. It won't flake. Okay, there will be no flaking, and I'll be able to curl that area just the same. Yep, I'm loving this. I am loving it. Yeah. Okay. All right. So for her mold, her hair laid really, really nicely. So we know that that relaxer did its thing. Her processing time was about 10 to 15 minutes. At which time we went ahead and rinsed her out. Now, if you are burning, I know you guys want your hair to stay straight for forever. But if you're burning, go ahead and rinse that relaxer out. The worst thing you can do is get a 3rd-degree burn. But what I will say is I learned a secret or a pro tip. If a relaxer is burned or has burned your scalp, you can use something like Sea Breeze, which is an antiseptic. And if you pour it right over that area, it might sting for a second, but it will allow the hair to not scab up after the fact. Okay, so now her hair is nice and dry. We're just going to go ahead and carve out her hairline. The details matter. For her, her hairline was really easy to carve out. This is kind of like my favorite part of the process because I like to see that neatness whenever I'm doing my shortcuts. She didn't have too much hair in the nape for me to have to worry a lot about the density. Her hair was already somewhat damaged in that area. So really when I relaxed it, it really just laid down and I only had to taper down a little bit of the hair there. But going forward, as that area grows out, then of course you can reduce the density wherever you need to. Because I already did the cut before molding her hair, I don't even have to go back in and do any more cutting because that cut was already flawless in my eyes and of course in hers. And then I'm just using my clippers to kind of just slightly taper down a little bit of the heaviness that I saw right at the occipital bone. That area typically holds a lot of weight, you guys. So that's another reason why I like to taper down the density over there, because the occipital bone is where it gets very tricky. The good thing about hers is her occipital bone doesn't protrude as much, but if it was, that area would be a little too heavy for my liking. Now for her curling, we're going to apply a little bit of our Elite Frizz Tamer and Shine Serum, heat protectant, and also glossifier for her hair. And then we'll be using the H2 Pro 3/10 of an inch micro iron. That is what we'll use to curl her hair. Okay, so I'm just cleaning off all the little hairs that came off of us, reducing some of that density near the occipital bone. Her curling is going to be really, really simple. She's actually even able to wear her hair in a nice mold just as this. And definitely for at-home use, she'd need the Elite Silk Wrap Foam, the Frizz Tamer and Shine Serum, and a pencil flat iron, such as the H2 Pro or any other company that she chooses to use. Now, she wanted it to be nice and sleek, so we're not going to add any type of flips, and I did not add any spritz to her hair either. I was attempting to kind of curl her from the back, and that just didn't work out in my favor. So, unfortunately, I had to curl her the right way. I just didn't want the iron to get in your way, but you guys will be able to see the curls in just a moment. Now, in regards to the curling, I kind of just go with the flow. I don't like too much framing. I kind of stay in the same row, but because I know I'm styling her in a direction, I do like to do what we call slide curling or flat iron curls or whatever. If you want to use your Marcells, you can. I haven't used my Marcells in so long because I haven't had the need to. But in her case, this pencil iron will work just fine for even her to use at home. They come in ceramic and also titanium. So you guys see how nice those curls came out, or bumps came out. I'm sorry, my camera is trying to focus because I'm blurring out my background, but you guys get the gist. And another thing, let's talk about how she care for this at night. So because the curls are nicely bumped and still somewhat flat, she can use a bandana around the sides and back, and then that'll allow her hair to stay intact. And even if the curls lay down, it will still look like her hair is in a nice styled shortcut. The good thing is her cut is done so well that she does not always have to mold her hair. She'll be able to wear it without a mold if she chooses to. Yep. So I'm going to let you guys watch the finished style. As I said before, if you're new to my channel, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to share this video with your friends and fam. And then also another thing, I do not recommend using too much spritz or oils when you have a shortcut such as hers. It will weigh the hair down and it will reduce the life of your style. Okay, so when you put your oil on, you can use like an oil-free glossifier such as the Goddess Polish or any type of oil that you use, but it needs to be a oil-free gloss. Okay, whenever you're dealing with shortcuts, you want to use oil-free products because the littlest thing will make your hair extra heavy. So I'll come back at the end. We'll talk about the finished style, but I'll let you guys see how the style unfolds from here. All right, so now I'm just carving out her hairline, cleaning it up a little bit, and then we will go ahead and show the finish. Of course, her hair came out banging. And then the clippers that I'm using is the Gold FX trimmers from Babyliss. So you guys comment, tell me what you thought about the finished look, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.